And welcome back, YouTube. This is Mr. Maxbuster here with a review of Startide for the Nintendo Switch. The reason this is a re-review is because I reviewed it once, but I only played about halfway through the game at that time. I have played as much of the game as I can, and now I have a much better understanding, and I'm here to give you my full thoughts on this game. This game is developed and published by Forever Entertainment and is available on the Nintendo eShop along with other places. So Startide is a top-down shoot-'em-up in the vein of Gradius or R-Type. However, where it differs from those games is instead of fighting a whole waves of enemies, you just fight one enemy on a screen at a time. And basically, missions become boss rush mode, where you face, let's say you have 7 acts, so you have to face basically what counts to 7 bosses in a row. And the other part where it varies is instead of having one-hit KOs, you actually have a health bar, which is very grateful. Now, the bosses in this game are actually randomly generated. This is where the main selling point of the game comes in. So you will, each time that you face a boss, it'll be completely different. What I face will be different than what you face. And if you die and have to restart, you cannot memorize the patterns and build of each boss, because it's completely different each time, which is a very unique feature. However, it is pseudo-random because there's only so many pieces that they can choose from, and it's symmetrical. So what I'm guessing it does is it builds half of the unit, and then it probably just mirrors it, so the other half is the same and it's very symmetrical, instead of having just some really weird ship that's completely off the rails. Now this game has 2 different modes that you can choose from: story mode or infinity mode. Infinity mode is very simple to explain. All it is a boss rush mode. You try to defeat as many enemies as you can, and you play until your character explodes. So all it is for bragging rights and for high score. Story mode is a little bit different. In story mode, the story of story mode is very mundane. It's very unoriginal. Basically, you're humanity's last hope, and you're set against what is essentially space pirates and an alien invasion. You have to destroy them both. However, you find out that halfway through the campaign that all is not what it seemed, and a bigger enemy force comes in, and it comes from saving the galaxy to saving the whole universe. So, very standard fare for a shoot-'em-up. But once again, you don't really play shoot-'em-ups for the story, you play it more for the action. Now there's 4 different types of missions in story mode. You have the standard destroy all enemies, which is self-explanatory. However, they do mix it up a little bit when they add the fights in asteroid belts. So what would happen is you're fighting the boss, and then it says asteroids inbound, the boss goes away, you have to play dodgeball with some asteroids, and then the boss comes back in. And that'll be that way throughout that entire mission, whether it be 1 boss or 5 bosses. Number 2 is destroy all enemies in a certain time limit. Now this could be very rage-inducing, very frustrating. Due to the random nature of the game, You get some very unfavorable builds during the time missions, and it's just near impossible to destroy some of those bosses. There's actually one mission in particular where I thought the timer was super tight, and I literally only had like 5 seconds left on the clock after playing the mission for well over an hour straight. On mission type number 3 is destroy the enemy's cargo train and take the cargo for yourself. Now, first off, I gotta say I love the nod to Galaxy Express 999. Trains in space. I love that nod. However, once again, due to the random nature of the game, you could have a train that has literally 30 pieces on it, and you just can't do it. Now, of course, you don't have to destroy all the train parts, you just have to destroy so many parts of it. However, sometimes you can get behind trying to destroy certain pieces, and it just literally, like I said, due to the random nature, you could literally have a near impossible run on a train just because of the random nature. And I do have to say, these are the only missions that I recall where you actually have cannon fodder in the game. What I mean by cannon fodder is basically you have like 2 little mechs that are smaller than you run across the screen in almost like a crisscross pattern, and they just pot shot at you the entire time. Pretty much gives that little extra artificial difficulty to the mission. Basically what you do is you just dodge your attacks and just focus on the train. Don't worry about taking them down. Literally they die in one hit, so if you do attack them, you're not wasting too much time. However, they are endless, they do not stop. And the last type of mission I want to talk about is scan the planet. You remember those old missions from Mass Effect where you literally scan the planet for some sort of like building material, and you get it and you just wait for it? Literally do the same thing in this game, but instead of scanning a planet for a few minutes, literally it takes 5 seconds. You scan the planet and you get one of 3 things: either a new ability, a new mech, or absolutely nothing. The ones that give you absolutely nothing I find the best, because it's like, what's the point of this existing? Now, one more thing I want to mention about the story mode before I move on to other topics is, during the story mode, sometimes the cutscenes will play out of order. Like, you will literally scan a planet, and then all of a sudden they'll be like, "Oh, you destroyed my entire fleet, I'll get you next time," or "I have to retreat now," or something like that. It's like, all I did was scan a planet. How does that make you need to retreat your entire army? I don't know. I find it kind of comical when that happens. Alright, so we're going to be moving on to the next part I want to talk about, and that is some things that I actually truly enjoyed about this game. Now, I do want to share with you some mechs in this game, as there are 9 different mechs that you can collect in this game, all through story mode. And I gotta say, they are designed really well. There's the Hellbird, which I like to call the second chance mech, my favorite mech in the game. Shima, a mech I never really used. Junker, a fun mech that has a regenerative ability. When he knocks off enemy parts, he can collect them and re-heal himself a little bit. The Bushi, this is basically a dual blade wielding samurai that just is great for up close and personal combat. Talos, your starting mech. Good early on, you definitely want to switch it out later in game though. Arachnox, a mech I never really used. Mechsod, a mech that I love the design of, but really sucks. His poison ability is okay, but man, it is slow. This guy's pretty fun. I call him just the hammer mech. He actually has a built-in shield that will deflect minor projectiles when he's staying completely still. And when you get close and personal with his mech, he actually does some pretty good damage with the melee. Atlas, the final mech in the game, and we're back to the normal. I gotta say, the designs were actually pretty well done. I really do like the mech designs. And each mech is completely different. The mechs have different abilities, have different strengths, weaknesses, which I really like the attention to detail there. They're not just clones of one another. And another thing I do like is the abilities that are given to you in the game. You get 10 total once you get unlocked through story mode, and each one is different. And you can actually make the ability either active, a sub-ability, or a passive ability, and I'm going to explain that to you. An active ability is your standard build the gauge and activate. You know, whether it be missiles, slow time, heal, basically whatever it is, you activate it. Your sub-ability, whatever you put there, is actually going to enhance the active ability. So if you equip it sub, it'll give a little bit of an additional effect to the active ability. And the passive ability, you can only ever have one at a time, and that will always be active and will always give some sort of basically active effect. I always chose healing because it will slowly regen your health, which I always enjoy. So those are two really good things about the game that I enjoyed. The abilities and the mechs. They did a good job with that part. Another thing that I really enjoyed about the game, they actually did a really good job with the backgrounds. The backgrounds in this game are actually really well detailed. I mean, they look really nice. Like, it looks like you're flying actually over like a space colony or ruins of a planet. They did a good job with that part of it. Let's see. Now, I'm going to talk about some things that I don't care about this game. I'm actually going to just start up in Infinity and just do a little bit of gameplay for you guys here. And talk about things that I didn't care about this game. First up, the load times. You will be seeing this screen a lot during this game. Every time you start a mission, load. In between each boss, load. In between each enemy, load. When you finish a mission, load. There is so much loading that happens in this game. Another thing that happens in this game a lot is during the later missions of the game will crash randomly. And I think it has something to do with the last type of enemies you face, at least that I got to. And what will happen, they're basically these bug-type enemies, and for whatever reason, it only happened against that type of enemy. The game will randomly crash against this type of enemy right here. I'm guessing it has something to do with the loading process on it. Like, there's probably some piece that just does not agree with the game, and when it builds it, it does not want to work. So I've had multiple crashes on this game during late game. And let me remind you, during the late game, sometimes you'll be facing 5 to 8 enemies in a row, and if you die once, you go all the way back. And if you crash, you go all the way back. So, yeah. That was very, very annoying. Something that I think could have definitely been resolved with a little more quality control. Another thing I want to mention is that there is a rather uneven difficulty to this game. You'll start the game off pretty easily, and then all of a sudden, about halfway through, you'll run into some time missions that are just a bear. And I mean, you'll go from like, oh, you know, this game's pretty fun, to, oh my god, what did I get myself into? Like, I'm not even joking. It gets hard. And then, the last thing I want to share with you, and I am going to show you here in just a little bit, once I axe myself. See, like I said, you'll be staring at this loading screen a lot, which is okay. When you're launching the game, but during the middle of a game like this, it's not good to have so much loading screen. It really ruins the flow of the game. Like I said, when you first launch it, yeah, I can understand having a long loading screen, or when you first start, you know, like Infinity mode, I can understand the first loading screen, but it should load like 5 enemies, and then in between every 5 enemies have a loading screen. At least it would not ruin the flow of the game that much. However, the biggest issue with this game, I could deal with the loading screens. I could deal with the uneven difficulty. Some games have had them in the past. The crashes are annoying, but I could even deal with those. At least I could play the game. However, what I can't deal with is this. Let me show you. Okay, so to move to the next galaxy, you have to select this round piece right here, right? And then or sector. You move to this sector, right? Well, you move to this sector, okay. You move to this sector, fair enough. However, you cannot access this top middle sector right here. It is out of reach. I have tried everything. I've tried attaching it to my TV, reducing the size of the screen to see if maybe I could reach it. No luck. I've tried messing with the settings in the Nintendo Switch itself. No luck. I cannot finish the story mode because of an oversight in the port. I've seen that you could reach this on, I believe, the PC version, but you cannot reach this on the Nintendo Switch version. I don't know if it's only the Nintendo Switch version that's affected, or if it's all of them. And I've checked every other sector to make sure that there's nothing that needs to be done. Mission complete. Okay. And that's an item. And that's a mission complete. I've went to every sector, checked every single planet, and I cannot progress. Because I was like, okay, maybe there's a mission that I missed somewhere that would move the screen down so I could access this planet or sector. But no, every single mission is complete. There's nothing left to do. Literally, I'm supposed to go up to this N001P sector, and I cannot. Now, like I said, the other ones, the load times are annoying, but I could deal with it. The uneven difficulty, once again annoying, I could deal with it. The game crashes, that's really annoying, but I could live with it. This, I cannot live with. The game is literally unbeatable. If Guru Larry ever does another games that you literally cannot beat, please include the Nintendo Switch port of Startide. So, with all this said, if this game would have spent a little bit more time in quality control with the crashing issue, I think that the score could have been raised. If they ever fix this issue with not being able to access the last sector of the game, this game could easily have scored a 6, maybe even a 7 out of 10 from me. I really love the mechs. The action is fun, it's challenging at times and easy at other times. And, like I said, it's just a fairly fun shoot-'em-up. However, because of the crashes and because of the not being able to access the last sector, I cannot award it a very high score. If they ever fix it with an update where the last sector is open, I will update that in the comments and video description. However, as it stands right now, I can only award this game a 2.5 out of 10. I really don't like giving a game that low, but with an unfinishable story mode, I literally cannot award a game anything higher than that. The Infinity mode's fun to play, the mechs are great, the backgrounds are fun, the abilities are really nice. Like I said, if this game, if I could access the last mission, this game would probably receive a 7 out of 10. I cannot access the last mission. I can only give this game a 2.5 out of 10 as it stands. I hope you guys understand the reason for this score. Yeah. With all that said, this, like I said, the music is fine, the graphics are fine, the gameplay is fine. Everything is fine about this game. It's just that last mission being inaccessible is just shouldn't happen. And I have to award the score that I did, and like I said, it's... And like I said, if they do ever update this game to fix this issue, I will adjust my score accordingly. But until then, it's a 2 out of 5. This has been a 2.5 out of 10, sorry, a 2.5 out of 10 is what I meant to say. So final score, 2.5 out of 10. Until next time, this has been Booster Box Buster with a Startide for the Nintendo Switch review, signing out.